The ignition effect on specific verticals is real. And my favorite example is the solar industry. Vertec has been involved in solar since around 2010. And at that time, it was just starting to get going. And I have watched over those years that ignition has become the de facto standard with all of these site SCADA, and even enterprise SCADA systems is starting to jump into that. And it's crazy because I've seen older industries, food and bev, manufacturing, where it takes a moment longer for software to catch on. You still have old entrenched software, but new industry, new software, and a bunch of integrators that are willing to push it like nothing else. It's all we ever use in solar. And all of a sudden, it's what people are using. Another one that maybe is related is I've seen the electric vehicle market start up, and they were very quick to catch on to ignition software also. Maybe it is new industries have more capability of going ignition because it's such a major player these days. But that ignition effect, those are the two where I see it more than anything else.
I think the industry verticals that we're seeing some really interesting thing in is obviously pharma, right? With COVID that happened over recently at ICC, I think you saw a lot of different solutions that kind of came up around that. A lot of people built some really awesome things with ignition to help, the pharmaceutical manufacturers get the vaccine scaled and rolled out really quickly. So I think that's been a really interesting space to see grow. I see ignition becoming really, really popular there, especially with some of the recent certifications. I think in aerospace and defense, we've seen a lot of movement lately with ignition. A lot of our customers have begun to ask that. But I think the most interesting vertical that I see, and it's not really the customer vertical, but it's more on the partner side. So you see companies like Snowflake announcing their cloud for manufacturing. And one of the things that they announced alongside that, alongside the partnership with Riveron, of course, was the partnership with inductive automation. So here you have this, multi-billion-dollar cloud IT company that saw the value in ignition and put it as front and center as their partner in this new endeavor to connect factories. So I think that's been a really interesting space, right? Even you see the same thing from AWS, you see it from Microsoft, even from inductive automation, right? With releasing their new cloud ignition. So I think there's a lot of really interesting things happening across industry verticals, not only from the customer standpoint, but also from the partner and solution standpoint as well.
We see ignition getting brought into industries really that had other similar softwares, as well as industries that didn't have any type of data collection or reporting software. And it's quite amazing for customers when they've had no data at all in front of them, except just what's on a clipboard or on an Excel sheet that's manually typed in, to having these screens that we'll build for them, or this application that we'll build for them. And it happens so quickly, and it blows their mind. So that is an amazing thing for us to be able to deliver that kind of value to our customers.
A lot more industries are using SCADA. Previously, SCADA was in a lot more of the more regulated industries, food and beverage, pharmaceuticals. But now you can see, much smaller industries that typically hadn't considered using SCADA, using, ignition for small data acquisition projects, or maybe taking some, manually entered data or work instructions or things like that. And so it has allowed SCADA to expand into different industries because of the flexibility.
That cross-pollination is what has really helped us here at Raceline. We've been able to service a lot of different industries, and we take a little bit from one industry and we see where it applies to another industry, and it makes both industries better.
We work a lot with waste management, so for them, we'll be creating screens and projects anywhere from site-specific all the way up to an overall enterprise level. So for ignition, to make it so easy to create these cohesive screens and cohesive projects that display anywhere from the health of a machine all the way up to the overall performance of their company is really incredible.
One of the cool complex applications that all these different practices that ignition is enabling us to do is we're building an application for a winery that enables operators to understand how they can move wine from one tank into another, through what ports they should take things through, and the fastest path there. Ignition really enabled us to integrate with a graph database to do things like shortest path finding algorithms and other recommendation algorithms to help optimize the way that these operators are going to be moving this wine across the facility. With traditional tools, we don't have the ability to do things like the complex UI that's needed to represent those complex topics in a simplified way that operators can use and interact with effectively.
One of the things that we've been able to implement in Ignition that has been very useful here at Sierra Nevada is a traceability application, and that allows our users to trace raw materials into our batches of brews and fermenters and packagings. And then the other way around, you can take a packaging and trace where it came from. And that has been a very valuable tool here at a brewery. That's very important when we're tracking down any type of product issue, or maybe we're tracking an ingredient to see if it has any effect, a change in an ingredient. So it's worked out really well to rapidly deploy and integrate into our environment here at the brewery.
Automation Group started with the food and beverage industry. We've expanded to aggregates and utilities, and we do a lot of work with manufacturing now. But now we're seeing building management systems, and it's very exciting, because it's definitely opening up another industry that we haven't really tapped into. Managing a building's resources and utilities is very important when it comes to data centers, warehouses. And again, it's an industry that we are now expanding to and are very successful at. And it's exciting to be able to work in different industries and leveraging the software to provide solutions for each customer's needs.
Ignition isn't specific to any one industry. It's kind of a open platform. So whatever you dream, you can kind of build in there. It's kind of like a blank canvas, but Ignition gives you the paint and the brushes, and then you're able to do whatever you can dream up.
Everywhere I go that's using Ignition, whether it's food or manufacturing or utilities, it makes me happy. Kind of makes me makes me proud of being part of it and working with you guys. It's definitely making its way through many industries all over the world.